But speaking of lyrics, you've been watching Tiger King, right?
I mean, I don't know what was the transition there. Speaking of lyrics, have you been watching Tiger King? I'm like, what?
I just
part of that?
It's called journalism.
Oh, yeah. I guess I've seen some of his songs. So I've only watched 2 episodes. So
which one's is second episode is the one with Carole Baskin, right?
Carole Baskin in both the first and the second. But yeah, in the second one, she's doing more of the talking, or they're interviewing her more.
That's because that was when she murdered her husband.
Yeah, they were talking this backstory about how she, they bounce between her defending herself, and then they jump to Joe Exotic, and he'd be like, oh, this was shady, and blah, 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 and everyone talking about basically why they think she did kill her husband.
Mm-hmm. And so the reason I have you on here today is because I've been obsessed with Tiger King, and so
as
with
you
that,
would,
yeah,
as you should be, and
white trash.
Specifically, you would be,
because I'm obsessed with white trash people doing anything is just it's my cup of tea. Reason I have you on the show today is because one time I remember specifically, we listened to this guy. It was like a charity thing we were getting involved with. I remember at Campus House, the one we would like volunteer at. I never volunteered at, but you did.
Oh yeah.
And then we went out to Old Barney's afterwards. That's our bar, our watering hole. And you were going in through it because you taught speech and debate as your grad studies. And you're telling me, like, here's everything I interpreted out of that public speaking and everything like that. Since you've watched that Carole Baskin episodes, what's kind of the body language, the public speaking you get out of Carole from what we can see from that episode of Tiger King? That's what I want to know.
Well, honestly, when you think about communications and nonverbal communication, which is what we're talking about when people use their gestures, their eye motion, their whole posture and everything, and how they are trying to display an argument or articulate a case, can be some telltale signs. But honestly, here's the kicker, is that when we're talking about a documentary series, that's a whole other form of medium, experiencing her rhetoric. So to answer you, like, based on a person who has sat with Carole Baskin and watched all of her mannerisms and heard her rhetoric, the only person who could have access to that kind of like informed decision if she's guilty or not based on that would be the documentarians themselves, because they're the ones who are watching her, spending hours interviewing her, spending hours editing her clips together, editing her comments. And even how they portrayed it, they try to show it kind of a neutral way, show some clips of her kind of emotional, kind of connecting with the fact of the loss of her husband. And then they showed old clips. But then there'd be other times where, you could just see her kind of get a little bit defensive. And so all these things can kind of be normal things. Bottom line is, all I'm saying is I couldn't make, and I'm not a professional at reading body language. I just studied rhetoric and pause and release kind of tactics and just the things that speakers do to kind of emphasize their, creating empathy, etc., for persuasion. But from that standpoint, somebody else, how they even, just the very focus of it, you could say, oh, this documentary is really neutral. These people are just showing it as it is. But me choosing to point the camera over here, but excluding to show you information that's going on.
Like the highly edited stuff.
Not even highly edited. It just could be that I'm recording this direction, I'm showing you this perspective. But over here might be a whole other dynamic to the story. Just by me, by the simple switch of where I choose to frame the shot. If I show Carole crying close up versus a little bit of a distance, you know what I mean? Those are small subtleties that honestly can shape the bias of even the viewer and the director. Does that make sense?
True, yeah. So you covered your ass in regards to being a professional. Just from what you saw.
Just from what I saw, you want to know if I think she's guilty?
I want your opinion just from what you
guilty.
saw.
Oh, yeah. I just,
Hey, what's going on? Did you like that clip you just watched? Did it make you schwoke? Was it terrible? Is it still the worst podcast on the internet? I probably thought so too. You can watch more terrible content like this, like full episodes and other clips, just like this one. But don't forget, like this video and subscribe, and like us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or wherever else you get your podcasts.